Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you, surprisingly, for Thursday, August 21st. Definitely thinking about ending it all. I mean, yesterday, it looked like we were on track to maybe hit all 3 bets yesterday, and we wound up going 0-3 yesterday as Atlanta only won 1-0, so I guess it pushed if you actually did the -1 run line on that, but they were winning the game like, just score another run, guys. Come on. The first 5-inning run line would have hit on the half run. So if people did that, that would have been a winner. So that's bullshit. Kansas City had the lead early in their game. They, I think, had a 3-1 lead a couple innings into the game. Like, all right, this is going well. First 5-inning play on Kansas City would have been a winner. But we had full game, and Texas tied the game up and then won with a 3 spot, I believe, in the top of the 9th to win 6-3. Again, bullshit. And Kansas City didn't score, I think, after like the 2nd or 3rd inning. They never scored again. Just unbelievable. Leading the whole game. It kind of felt like that Texas loss to Toronto the other day. And then Milwaukee, also a loss, even though I believe they out-hit the Cubs. The Cubs wound up scoring 4 runs on 4 hits. And Milwaukee loses the game 4-3. And that was a close one as well. Like, I don't even feel like I mishandicapped really any of those games yesterday. It's just completely ridiculous. Then you lose all 3 and have a horrific 0-3 day. Probably going to go end it all right now. Curtis, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. We have a short card today. Let's just get into it, man. I'm going to give out a WNBA play and 1 baseball play. And these are both mostly situational plays, and I don't even know if I love them, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk about NFL preseason briefly as well, I guess. WNBA, I mean, this is getting super uninteresting with no dildos being thrown. Washington at Connecticut. I will say I lean to Washington in this game. You have to lay like -2, 2.5 on the road in this one, which I believe the line has moved up a little bit. Yeah, from 2.5 to 2.5 with juice. I think that's the right side because this is a pretty simple, quick road revenge spot as Connecticut just went into Washington and beat them. And Connecticut is still the absolute worst team in the league. And, of course, they did have a player, I forget her name, who intentionally injured Sophie Cunningham and basically ruined Indiana's season. Nobody's even really talking about it, which is ridiculous. And it looks like Clark might not even come back either for Indiana. So I'm not a fan of the Connecticut Sun right now. They're probably going to move to Boston as well. Just fuck this team. But they're coming back home. Washington, I think, could still make the playoffs, especially knowing that Indiana might be starting to fall apart here with all these injuries. So I think Washington is going to show up with motivation here, and they're going out on the road for this game after, again, losing by double digits to Connecticut at home. It wasn't really a statistical outlier of a game other than the fact that Washington did lose the turnover battle at home, which I don't think you're usually going to see something like that. But yeah, I lean to Washington in the quick zigzag. I'll skip Chicago, New York, because that's a game I'm actually going to have a play on, which is insane. I considered Washington as well as a play, by the way. I do think it's the second strongest on the board here. Minnesota at Atlanta. This is actually, I mean, as far as WNBA games go, this is a pretty decent game. Minnesota up from 1-3 as a road favorite here. This is a big matchup. Both of these teams have something to play for. Atlanta's returning home from a road trip, though, where they went to the Pacific time zone, so it's not exactly the greatest spot for them, but they're playing against the team that's leading the entire league, man, and they're fighting for the first place spot in the Eastern Conference as well, so Atlanta does have something to play for here. And obviously, so does Minnesota, although Minnesota did already clinch a playoff spot, although they want to make sure they hold on to the number 1 spot, but maybe they have a little bit less to play for here just because they have pretty much a stranglehold on that spot. And I think it's a little bit of a worse spot for Minnesota because they'd won 6 games in a row, including 3 against the Liberty, and then finally lost to the Liberty the last time out. So the Liberty finally got some revenge. The game after I thought they were going to get the revenge. They've actually played the Liberty 3 games in a row, which is a very, very strange scheduling quirk here. Minnesota is staying out on the East, in the Eastern time zone here, but when you have a win streak and you lose a win streak, especially in a big game like that, I think it does have a tendency to hang you over. So I would lean to Atlanta in this game. I think they do have a little bit more to play for, but they are returning home from a road trip, so a little bit of a more difficult spot, but I would probably lean to taking the points with them. And then Phoenix at Vegas. These two teams are also in the playoff mix here for the Western Conference. Vegas really hot right now, winning the last 7 games in a row, I think, including just beating Atlanta. This is another big game, but they did just go into Phoenix and beat Phoenix not that long ago, so I think it's probably a little bit of an extra motivational spot for Phoenix here. And these teams are actually tied now in the standings, too. Phoenix, they're in the middle of a road trip out on the Pacific Coast here, not having to travel too far, with a little bit of momentum, having won those other 2 games. They beat Golden State last time, which is actually a pretty big win because Golden State is still in the mix for the playoffs, but they're not really that good. So I think this is considered to be a bigger game here. But I would lean to Phoenix just because it is a little bit of a quick revenge spot. Vegas down from 2-1. So the line seems to be moving in that direction. I know what this looks like. Why am I playing a game with a spread like this? But I'm going to recommend the Chicago Sky plus 15 or plus 15 and a half here, man. I know I usually don't like to get involved in big spreads. I'm still winning in the WNBA overall, although if I lose this one, it'll only be me being ahead slightly in the WNBA. But I just think this is a terrible spot for the Liberty, man. I know they want to continue, they want to maintain having first place in the East. I understand that, but they're coming off playing 2 games in a row against Minnesota. They played Vegas before that. Every game was close. They did just return home from a road trip, and sometimes that is a distraction spot, but of course it was not because it was against Minnesota, and they were finally able to get that revenge, beat the best team in the league. Huge win over Minnesota. Now they have this awful, injured Chicago Sky team coming into their place. And who do they have up next? Oh, yeah, they have to play Atlanta on Saturday. So the big weekend game, which is one of the games that's going to decide first place in the East, that is a huge game. I think this is a sandwich spot. I think they could easily overlook Chicago here. They did beat Chicago twice, actually, this year. They beat them on the road by 25 and beat them at home by 29. So I don't know that they're really going to take Chicago seriously at all. I know Chicago is an injured team. They've been without Vandersloot all season. They're having a terrible season. I know they're playing really bad basketball right now, but they're getting to start a road trip here. And I think if anything's going to focus you, it's going to be playing the top team in your conference. So I think they're going to show up here. And the other thing I like about this is that this is Angel Reese's second game back. So say what you will. I know Angel Reese, I don't like her. But I don't think she's that good either, especially not as a scorer. She is a good rebounder, though. She is still one of the star players on this team, and she was out for a while. The team was struggling without her, and I always talk about how the first game that star player comes back, they have to kind of get back into the mix, and sometimes it can kind of throw off their chemistry. They did lose the game to Seattle, but, I mean, no shame in losing to Seattle by 6 points. I mean, Seattle's a good team. But now that this is her second game back, I think it's going to be more like they have their chemistry back. A lot of times they do a lot better the second game that star player is back. She's listed as game time decision, but when I read the reports, it said she was probable. So I think we're getting maybe too many points here because of how badly Chicago has been playing, which includes a lot of games without Reese. So again, given the spot, I do think this line is a bit too high here. So I will recommend to play on the Chicago Sky plus 15 in this game. I have no idea, man. Caitlin Clark, she had this timetable where she was supposed to come back in August, and that's not happening. I think she's not coming back. And Indiana might miss the playoffs at this point, too, even though they're in playoff position right now. It's very, very sad. I mean, she and the dildo throwing are the only things that are keeping the league afloat. All right, we got Major League Baseball. It's a shorter Thursday card here. We have some afternoon games because it's getaway day. It's the end of some of these series. So teams are traveling. We have the A's at Minnesota. The A's are actually, I believe, on the verge of sweeping this series. So Minnesota might show up with a little bit of extra motivation because they don't want to get swept. Of course, both of these teams are out of it, so they're kind of just playing out the stretch here. Both teams have pretty bad bullpens, although I think the A's bullpen is worse, although they've actually been better recently, but they also used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. Minnesota also did, so the bullpens are not really in good shape here. So if you're going to look at this game, I would probably be looking to fade the bullpens in this one. The A's have the better offense of these two teams. Jack Perkins is pitching for the A's. I probably give him a slight edge in the starting pitching matchup. He has a 4.28 ERA, 1.13 whip. He is better on the road, so once he gets away from that Sacramento stadium that's very hitter-friendly where the A's play, he does a lot better, 2.08 ERA on the road. He was a reliever for a lot of the season, though. Hasn't pitched that much this season, really, but he was a reliever, and then he's joined the starting rotation more recently. His last 2 starts have actually not been terrible. He's gone 11 innings combined, picked up a win in both starts, gave up 3 earned runs in each of them, had a 12-4 strikeout walk ratio. So he is pitching pretty well right now. And he's not exactly facing an elite offense here in Minnesota. Minnesota's never seen him before, so he may have a little bit of an extra edge there because they haven't seen him before. But one thing I do worry about is that he threw 103 pitches in his last outing against Anaheim, which is by far the most pitches he's thrown in a game this season. They're ramping him up. I mean, he'd gone 62, then 84, then 103. But when a guy who's not used to throwing that many pitches does that, and then they have to pitch again, sometimes they don't do as well the next time out. So I do worry about Perkins for that reason. Minnesota has Jose Urena starting, so we basically have 2 converted relievers starting this game here, which may not be that great of a thing. He's got a 4.06 ERA, 1.42 whip. That whip is definitely too high, but he's been better at home this year, 2.16 ERA at home, but that includes being on all these different teams, man. He was on the Mets, Toronto, Dodgers, and now he's on Minnesota, so he's been all over the place this year. He's actually been okay with Minnesota. He finally went over 5 innings in his last outing, shut out Detroit, which is a decent sign. Went 3 innings against Kansas City to start before that, but he did walk 4 guys, which is less of a good sign. But he's been okay in that he hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any of his outings with Minnesota so far. Didn't go really deep into at least 2 of them, though. But he has good numbers against the A's in his career as well. 36 at-bats. They only have 7 hits, 1 extra base hit, a double from Butler, 7-1 strikeout walk ratio, 194 average allowed, and 438 OPS. So both of these starting pitchers actually might have a little bit of a matchup advantage here. I would slightly lean to the A's because I do think Perkins is a little bit more trustworthy, but again, I worry about his pitch count last time out. The A's are taking the money. And again, I don't know if I would really necessarily want to fade Minnesota trying to avoid a sweep here, but A's up from -110 to -113, 64% of tickets, 70% of the cash on them. It's kind of crazy seeing the A's as a road favorite, but that is the case. I mean, they're not really as bad a team as their record makes them look, man, and they're much worse at home, actually, than they are on the road because they really have no home advantage. Basically, they have a home disadvantage. So money seems to be coming in on the A's and on the over, driving the total up to 9.5, juice to the over, 71% of tickets on the over, 87% of the cash on the over. I could see the argument for the over, especially with the bullpens not being very good. The starting pitchers, I could see potentially the pitchers both doing okay, though, which would worry me a little bit as far as the over is concerned. So I think I would probably prefer the A's slightly in that game, but that's a really tough game to figure out. Texas at Kansas City. Kansas City lost their win streak yesterday, man, ending it at 5. They had won 5 games in a row, lost it yesterday. Both these bullpens are still pretty good. Texas has actually been a little bit worse recently. Texas had more bullpen usage yesterday as well because they had a bullpen game yesterday, which, again, really, really angers me that I lost that pick on Kansas City yesterday, going up with their best pitcher going up against a bullpen game. And then they had the lead all game and blew it. It really, really angers me. So Texas' bullpen is probably in the slightly worse shape here than Kansas City's. Kansas City actually has the slightly better offense, I would say. And I do think Kansas City has the edge in the starting pitching matchup. So it is tempting to give out a play on Kansas City here, man. I'm not going to lie. But one of my hesitations is that Kansas City, the way that they lost yesterday, the way that they blew it in dramatic fashion like that, and a lot of times when you lose a win streak like that, sometimes it'll hang you over into the next game. So that's one thing that I do worry about with Kansas City. And Kansas City, both these teams are fighting basically to stay alive in the playoff hunt too, so they both have motivation here. Patrick Corbin is pitching for the Rangers. He is definitely a fadeable pitcher, though. His numbers are starting to get worse again. 4.45 ERA, 1.38 whip, not great. He's worse on the road, 5.17 road ERA. He's been really, really bad this month in 3 outings. He's failed to go more than 4 1/3 in any of these outings. 6-8 strikeout walk ratio on 12.1 ERA, just abysmal. I did fade him in his last game with Toronto, which was an easy winner for me on this show. He did face good offenses, Yankees, Philly, Toronto, so Kansas City is a big-time step down from that. But I don't know that he's going to pitch better here, man. I mean, he'll probably pitch better than how poorly he pitched in his last game, but I don't know that it's going to be good necessarily. Kansas City actually has hit him fairly well in the past in 83 at-bats, 19-4 strikeout walk ratio is good for Corbin, but 289 batting average allowed and 828 OPS, not so much. So Kansas City has been able to hit Corbin. Meanwhile, Michael Lorenzen pitching for Kansas City, his season numbers aren't great. 4.43 ERA, 1.3 whip. He's better at home, though. 3.4 ERA at home. So he has the advantage of the splits here. And he had a decent outing when he came back. He was injured after he actually had a 7-inning shutout at Arizona, which was actually a pretty good start. He went on the injured list, and then he came back about a month later. He's made 1 appearance since then. He did have a 4-inning shutout appearance against the White Sox. I know it's the White Sox, a bad offense, so I don't know how much you can really take away from that, but he did well nonetheless. He did walk 2 guys, which is a little bit of a concern, but he may be back on track, and maybe he's kind of settling back into form here. His numbers are pretty good against Texas in the past. 25 at-bats, not a huge sample size, but 240 average, allowed 665 OPS, although 6-4 strikeout walk ratio is not exactly terrific. But I think I would have to lean to Lorenzen's side in this one. The money seems to be disagreeing, although you're going to see that I'm going to be going against market read with my actual baseball play I'm going to give out. And this is close to being a play for me, man. I do lean to Kansas City here. Kansas City down from -125 to -119. 77% of tickets, only 67% of the cash. So the market read seems to be on Texas here, and it seems to be on the under. Total sitting at 9, 66% of tickets on the over, 68% of the cash on the under. Not sure that I would want to get involved in an under here with a little bit of bullpen usage here, although we do still have decent bullpens. Both offenses are pretty terrible, so that's definitely one thing that might factor into the under, but I liked the under better in, I believe it was the first game of that series. Milwaukee at the Cubs. Of course, we lost this game yesterday on the show too. Cubs have now won 3 in a row, and they've pulled back to within 6 of Milwaukee here in the NL Central. This is a big series for both teams. The Cubs, a lot of bullpen usage. This is the reason why I went against them yesterday, man, because I knew they were going to have to use relievers for a second day in a row, and they did, and they still wound up winning the game. Just, fuck me, I guess. Milwaukee used a bunch of rested relievers and still wound up losing. Milwaukee, I think they have the slightly better bullpen. It's still the slightly more rested bullpen here. So that's something to keep in mind. I'll give Chicago a very slight offensive edge, although Milwaukee does hit pretty well on the road. Both offenses are good. This is an interesting pitching matchup, man. We're on the surface. This looks like a very low-scoring game, and the total is very, very low, which also means that the wind must be blowing in again in Wrigley. Because if you see a total that's not even at 7, it's actually at 6.5, that is a crazy low total. So the wind must be blowing in at Wrigley here. Starting pitching, Quinn Priester from Milwaukee, just having a season that's probably well above his pay grade, to be honest. 3.48 ERA, 1.24 whip is not terrific. He's doing a little bit better on the road, 3.25 ERA on the road. One thing about Priester, though, this run that he's on is absolutely insane. His team has won 14 starts in a row now of his. So, I mean, Milwaukee went on that streak where I think they won 14 games in a row at one point. They've won 14 of his starts in a row, which is insane. And actually, most of those starts have actually been pretty good, too. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs in only 3 of them, and more than 3 only twice, more than 4 only once, which was a start against the Mets, who are a pretty good hitting team. He bounced back decently at the Reds last time out, even though the Reds, they have a hitter-friendly park. He pitched pretty well, went 5 1/3, gave up 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. So Priester, I mean, he's not in terrible form right now still, although he does have a 4.86 ERA this month, 11-4 strikeout walk ratio, which isn't that terrible, but only because of that one bad start against the Mets, kind of skewing those numbers. His numbers against the Cubs, however, are not very good. In 52 at-bats, 6.6 strikeout walk ratio, 327 average allowed, 993 OPS. So is this going to be where the streak ends for Priester? It might, because he's not the better of these two pitchers. Obviously, the better of these pitchers is Shota Imanaga for the Cubs, who has a way better whip, a 3.06 ERA and 0.95 whip, which is basically elite. He's been very, very good home and away, very similar ERA, both home and away. This month, he's given up 3 or fewer earned runs in all 3 starts, going at least 6 1/3 in every outing, 22-2 strikeout walk ratio. He's just very much in command right now. Did pitch against Milwaukee on July 30th and picked up a win in that game. It wasn't his greatest start, though. He went 5 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. Did still have 8 strikeouts and no walks, though. So he is going to have to step back up in class to face Milwaukee, because his last 3 outings were Cincinnati, St. Louis, Pittsburgh. The best of those offenses is Cincinnati, so not exactly a gauntlet of offenses there. Quinn Priester, by the way, I should mention, he faced the Cubs the day before that, back in late July as well. He had a little bit of a worse outing than Imanaga did. He went 5 2/3, kind of escaped, only allowing 2 earned runs, because he gave up 8 hits, which isn't very good, and had 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. So Imanaga did have the better of the 2 starts in that series. Imanaga, though, he doesn't have good numbers against the Brewers. In 54 at-bats, 12-1 strikeout walk ratio is good. He's allowed 4 home runs, though, 2 of them to Contreras, 296 batting average allowed, and 883 OPS. So both starting pitchers actually have bad matchup numbers in this game. Cubs, Kerry Wood, where's that guy at now? I remember I remember his 20 strikeout performance, man. I don't know where he's at now, but I remember that tied. What was it? Roger Clemens had the record of 20 strikeouts. I should know, because I think it was for my Boston Red Sox, although I don't know if I'm exactly a Clemens fan at this point. I mean, we all basically turned on him when he went to the Yankees. Fuck the Yankees. Yankees suck. And that's going to lead into, we might have an interesting matchup between, the Red Sox and the Yankees coming up starting today as well. Kerry Wood, I believe he tied Clemens' record for 20 strikeouts in a game, which I believe still stands. I could be mistaken on that, though. But in this game, like I said, the total's already down to 6.5, although you might still find a 7 out there. 72% of tickets on the over, 62% of the cash on the under. I would hesitate on this under, though, man, because even though both bullpens are pretty good, they're fairly overworked right now. The starting pitching, like I just showed you, their matchup numbers are not very good. So I would definitely hesitate to play an under in this game, man. I think you have almost no room for error at all. I know the weather should help out the under a bit here, and it's probably, I would imagine it's cool in Chicago as well, because it's not very warm where I am here. We're going to be in the 60s today in Boston. It's actually 73, so it actually isn't as cool as I thought in Chicago there. But even so, the wind's got to be blowing in. The money seems to be coming in on Milwaukee. Cubs down from -124 to 140 to -127, 67% of tickets, 71% of the cash on Milwaukee. Maybe the thought is that Milwaukee's going to bounce back from losing a couple of games. I'm not going to get involved in this game at all, man. I don't really like the under, though, at all. I don't really think I like Milwaukee either. Like, looking at the matchup here, my tendency was to slightly lean to Chicago in the game. And I actually would maybe slightly even lean to an over with the total being that low, but that's not going to be a game I'm going to get involved in at all. Dodgers at Colorado. This is kind of an interesting one. Colorado has actually won 2 of the 3 games of this series so far. The Dodgers not playing well right now, man. Even though the Dodgers are obviously the better team, they have the way better offense. They do have the better bullpen, even though their bullpen's not that good. Their bullpen usage is better as well over the last few days. Yesterday it was about the same. So Dodgers do have all these advantages. They should have a starting pitching edge in this game as well. Clayton Kershaw pitching for the Dodgers. I mean, he's not as good as he once was, obviously, but he's got decent numbers this year. 3.01 ERA, 1.2 whip. Better on the road, 2.34 ERA, even though I know now he has to go to Coors Field, which is a different animal, but he's been particularly good this month, really. Winning all 3 of his starts, going exactly 6 innings in all of them, allowing only 2 earned runs combined. Only has 10 strikeouts, which isn't a high strikeout rate, so he's no longer the strikeout guy that he used to be, but he only walked 2 guys, so his command is still pretty decent. Over the past month, it's been good, and his numbers are good against Colorado. I mean, their offense is not good. In 57 at-bats, 15-1 strikeout-walk ratio, 193 batting average allowed, 540 OPS, although Rockies do hit a little bit better at home, though. And he's going up against Chase Dollander, who I think Dollander is interesting, man, because I know his numbers stink this year. This is his rookie season, I'm pretty sure. 6.43 ERA, 1.57 whip. Obviously, that's bad. He's been really bad in Coors Field, 9.16 ERA in Coors. Terrible. I do think he has a somewhat high ceiling, though, and he has a fairly high strikeout rate here this month, 11 strikeouts in 9 2/3 with 5 walks, though. So he's walked too many guys, gone 5 or fewer innings in his 2 starts here. Over his last 4 starts, he's gone 5 or fewer innings. So, yeah, he's not in the greatest form right now. He is worse at home, but I think he does have potential to do better at some point. He had an okay start against the Dodgers in Coors Field back in June. Went 5 2/3, allowed 3 earned runs. He only had 1 strikeout and 2 walks, though, but he still held this very potent lineup down fairly effectively. His numbers against the Dodgers are actually good. They're only 1 for 15 off him, this current lineup, with no strikeouts, though, 2 walks, no extra base hits, 0.67 average. You can do the math on that, and 243 OPS. Money seems to be coming in on Colorado, although some of that is a function of LA just having been way too heavy a favorite. They opened at -300, and now they're down to -213. That is a pretty significant money line move, though. 79% of tickets, only 74% of the cash on them. I don't think I would want to try to do anything with the side here, though. It does seem like money is taking Colorado, probably on like a run line or something to keep this game close. The total's gone down from 12.5 to 12. All the way from being juiced to the over on the 12.5 to juiced to the under on the 12. 60% of tickets, only 50% of the cash on the over. So money is coming in on the under. And I actually might agree with that. I probably would not do it full game, though, just worrying about the bullpens. I could see the under first 5 innings being a play here because I think both starting pitchers might actually do okay in this game. So that might be the way that I would play that game if I was going to do anything, which I'm not recommending a play at all, but if I were to do it. Mets at Washington. Washington won yesterday. Lost the first game of the series. Mets have something to play for here. Washington really does not, other than the fact that they might want to spoil the Mets season a little bit here. Mets still playing for playoff positioning here and even trying to make the playoffs. Mets, I believe, well, they definitely have the better bullpen, but they also have a very rested bullpen right now. They're one of the most rested bullpens in baseball right now, which is pretty good for them. Washington, a little bit less rested than that. So the Mets definitely have a bullpen edge here. They do have an offensive edge. Do they have a starting pitching edge? I think it's close, man. This pitching matchup is interesting. Sean Manaea is pitching for the Mets. His ERA is not good anymore. He started off really good. He had a very late start to the season coming back from being injured, and he was good for like a few starts, and then he's slid back a little bit since then. 4.78 ERA, although his whip is still good, 1.16. Usually his whip is kind of the problem, though, because he usually walks too many guys. He is better on the road, 4.38 ERA so far. This month, though, like I said, he's been struggling a bit. He has a 7.98 ERA this month in 3 starts. Not a great sign. Really, the only great offense that he faced in that span is Milwaukee. Seattle is okay. Does still have a 15-3 strikeout walk ratio over that span, though, so his command has actually still been good. So you could argue that maybe those starts weren't as bad as they looked because he really didn't allow that many hits necessarily, put that many guys on base. So maybe he should have done a little bit better than the amount of runs that he gave up. But his numbers against Washington are not that good in 40 at-bats. 9-1 strikeout walk ratio is good, but 300 batting average allowed, 742 OPS, not horrible, but getting on a little bit of the higher side there. So maybe Manaea, not exactly trustworthy right now. Mackenzie Gore pitching for Washington. I mean, he's a guy that has really good strikeout stuff, but he also walks way too many guys. He definitely struggles at times. 4.04 ERA, 1.32 whip is definitely too high. He is worse at home, too. 4.62 ERA at home. His last two starts have both been really good, though. The 17-3 strikeout walk ratio, 12 innings, 2 earned runs allowed combined. One was at San Francisco, which they're not a good offense, but the other was against Philly, who are a good offense, and he did well there, too. So he seems to maybe come back into form recently here over those last couple starts after he was really bad for a stretch prior to that. His numbers against the Mets are okay in 120 at-bats, 30-10 strikeout walk ratio, 258 batting average allowed, 715 OPS. I would probably give a slight lean to Washington here, man. I think they have a somewhat of a starting pitching edge here. I would only do it in the first 5 innings, though. I would not want to do anything with Washington's bullpen. The money seems to agree with the Washington side. I think Gore is in better form right now. Does have the better matchup numbers. Mets down from -135 to -125 on the money line here. 72% of tickets, only 53% of the cash. And money coming in towards the under as well. 84% of tickets, only 66% of the cash on the over 8 here. But again, I think the best way to play this game is probably Washington first 5 innings money line at whatever underdog price you can get there. Because I do think the starting pitching edge might be on their side. Yeah, I know. Dude, I'm basically going to kill myself. I mean, they had it in the first 5 innings. They were winning the game the whole time. That absolutely should have been a win for me on the show yesterday. It was horrific. Like, I should have had at least 2, if not all 3 wins, and they all fucking lost. San Francisco at San Diego. This is interesting. I mean, this is a big divisional matchup, yes, but San Diego, after winning the last 2 games by a combined 13-2 score, I think there's a potential here that San Diego might overlook San Francisco in this last game here because San Diego has basically dominated San Francisco. I mean, they've won, they basically got a quick revenge. They've won, 5 of their last 6 games against San Francisco. But San Diego has a huge weekend series coming up starting tomorrow against the Dodgers. They have to play the Dodgers again. So they might look ahead here, man. San Francisco definitely out of it, but San Francisco may show up because they may want to beat their division rival here. We have 2 good bullpens here. San Francisco used Tristan Beck for a lot of pitches, but other than that, not a ton of usage bullpen-wise on either side here. So both bullpens, I would say, are in pretty decent shape, and they're both good bullpens. San Diego has a better offense. San Francisco's is awful. San Diego's is not that great either, though. Looking at the starting pitching matchup, we might actually find a bit of an edge with San Francisco here, man. Justin Verlander is pitching for the Giants. I know we can't necessarily trust him at his very old age here. 4.23 ERA, 1.42 whip is really bad. Slightly worse on the road, 4.36 ERA on the road. This is a pitcher-friendly park, but if you look over his last 5 starts, he's allowed 0 or 1 earned run in 4 of the 5. So he's not exactly in poor form right now. Had a good start last time out, shutting out Tampa Bay, 7 innings, 2 hits allowed, 8 strikeouts, no walks. That's like vintage Verlander, Justin Vintage Lander in that one. So maybe he is back in form and pitching pretty well. He does have good numbers against San Diego in his career. 100 at-bats, 25 strikeouts, 4 walks, 220 batting average, 590 OPS. So does Verlander actually have a little bit of an edge here? It's possible. I mean, all those numbers came in the past, though. He hasn't faced them this year. So obviously Verlander, he's not as good this year as he has been in the past. So that's something to keep in mind, but he does have good matchup numbers. He's going up against Dylan Cease, who's obviously the younger, more potent pitcher, let's say, at this point. But Cease has definitely been struggling this year. 4.61 ERA, 1.31 whip. Those are not very good numbers, although he has been better at home. 3.61 ERA, although he's been really inefficient with his pitches, man. He racks up a high pitch count pretty quickly in most of these games. This month, 3.14 ERA is all right, but he has an 18-9 strikeout walk ratio. So again, really high strikeout rate, but a really high walk rate as well. So he's kind of getting away with putting guys on base. His last start was pretty bad. I know it was against the Dodgers. I know the fielding kind of disrupted his start. A couple of unearned runs came through in that one, but he did walk 6 guys, give up 2 hits and 3 1/3, 3 earned runs. I know it's the Dodgers. They're a really good offense, especially at home, which is where that was for the Dodgers. But Cease maybe not in the greatest form right now. And his numbers against San Francisco, shockingly, because San Francisco is not a good offense at all. 54 at-bats, 18-10 strikeout walk ratio, not great. 296 average, 844 OPS. Cease does not have very good numbers here, man. So I'm actually going to say the lean in this game is to San Francisco, man. You could grab them probably on a run line price, like plus 1.5. It's tempting to do that, although the money seems like it's kind of coming in on San Diego, but I don't really agree with it. Up from minus 165 to minus 177. 68% of tickets, only 71% of the cash. Or excuse me, 68% of tickets and 71% of the cash, excuse me. So the cash is actually coming in on San Diego. Earlier today, it actually looked like the opposite was happening. Very weird. And the money's coming in on the under as well. The totals dropped from 8 to 7.5. 61% of tickets on the over, 69% of the cash on the under. Professional bettors expecting this to be a pitching duel, and we have 2 good bullpens. I could see the argument for that, but I actually think that with the price like this, I think there might actually be some value grabbing San Francisco again at like a plus 1.5 run line maybe, which might have more value because, again, it's predicted to be a fairly low-scoring game, so those runs are worth more in a game like that. And the matchup numbers actually look like they somewhat favor Verlander. So that's the way that I would lean in that game, as awful as that sounds. Probably San Francisco run line. Let me take the Chicago Sky play has been up all show. Andrew, what's up, man? You don't like Ashley St. Clair? What? Why not? Boston and New York. Red Sox, Yankees, man. The Red Sox, they've actually done pretty well against the Yankees over these recent years, even though the Yankees are always the better of the 2 teams, which they still are. The Red Sox had like a multiple game lead ahead of the Yankees, and the Red Sox have been complete ass recently while the Yankees have won 5 games in a row. The Red Sox blew both games against Baltimore. Very, very bad. However, the situation, I think, is a little bit better for the Red Sox in this game, which I'll explain in a second maybe. I was just pointing out the Yankees have overtaken the Red Sox again. I still think the Yankees are going to win the AL East. You can get them, by the way, at like plus 280 right now to win the AL East. I think they will. I don't think Toronto's that good. I think Toronto's going to fall. So I would actually probably make that bet. If you wanted to bet on a future, I'd bet the Yankees at a really solid price to win this division. Unfortunately, because fuck the Yankees. Yankees suck. Yankees are hot right now, again, like I said, but they're returning home from a road trip. So, as I always say, you return home from a road trip, sometimes you fall into like a return home distraction spot. I know you're not really going to be that distracted when it's the Red Sox. It's baseball's biggest rivalry, basically. So you're not going to be unfocused, really, but still, they have to return home. They're traveling, and the Red Sox didn't play yesterday while the Yankees did. So the Red Sox do have a rest advantage here, and they're starting a road trip, and they're only going from Boston to New York, which is a quick trip. So the Red Sox definitely have a rest advantage here, travel advantage here. The Red Sox also have the better bullpen, and the Yankees used 3 relievers yesterday. So the Red Sox have a better bullpen and the bullpen rest edge here. Yankees obviously have the better offense. Charles, what's up, man? Although the Red Sox offense isn't that bad either. Stacks, what's up, man? Yeah, I mean, fuck the Yankees as a Red Sox fan. Can't stand them, but the Red Sox are probably not going to make the playoffs here, even though they've been teasing us. This starting pitching matchup, this is a hard one for me to figure out, man. Lucas Giolito is pitching for the Red Sox. He was really bad to start the season for the Red Sox, and then they figured something out with his mechanics, and they kind of fixed him, and he was pitching well. And then he's had a couple of bad starts in the mix there again recently. Decent numbers on the season, 3.63 ERA, 1.25 whip. It's a little bit higher than I would like. He's been a little bit better on the road, 3.47 ERA on the road. Yankee Stadium, not an easy place to pitch, but I would say he's still in pretty good recent form, though, because 3 of his last 4 starts, he went at least 6 innings and allowed 1 earned run apiece in each of those 3 and had 1 bad start in the mix there against San Diego, where he walked 6 guys. But if you throw that one out, he has a, what is that, a 14-4 strikeout walk ratio over those other 3 starts. So I guess do with that information what you will, although he has struggled against some of the better lineups he's faced this season, like Philadelphia, Cubs, both on the road. Those are rough outings for him, so he may have a rough outing here against the Yankees because it's another good offense that he's facing on the road here, which those are the games that he's tended to do poorly. And aside, I believe, from a couple of games at home where he did really bad early on too. Yankees have okay numbers against him in 43 at-bats, 11-7 strikeout walk ratio. Not a good ratio for him. He's given up some extra base hits. 256 average allowed is not that bad, but 755 OPS is getting a little bit on the higher side. So mediocre Giolito against the Yankees. He's going up against Luis Gil. So it's LG versus LG in this game, and this is the TV battle, and it's on TV. It's on Fox because it's Red Sox Yankees, so we actually get a nationally televised baseball game for once in the evening. It's the LG battle all around, man, because it's LG, and you can watch it on an LG TV to round it out, man. They should do advertising for LG, right? Luis Gil pitching for the Yankees. I know his numbers don't look good so far. 5.14 ERA, 1.64 WHIP. He's better than his numbers suggest, though. I mean, you look at what he did last year, his numbers are pretty good. He's a guy that has good strikeout stuff, but he also is way too wild. That's basically his thing. He's very, very difficult to hit. He doesn't allow that many runs, but he walks way too many guys, and he gets a lot of strikeouts. So that's what he does. He's been better at home this year, 3.38 ERA. He's only made 3 starts so far, and he's kind of improved-ish with each start, although I guess his best start was really the home one against Houston. So again, his best start was at home, had 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, 5 1/3, 2 earned runs allowed in that one. He allowed 1 earned run last time out against St. Louis on the road, but he walked 3 guys. So his walk rate, again, is still way too high, but he is starting to pitch a little bit better again. He started the season injured, so he's trying to come back from injury, and he has good numbers against the Red Sox, which I'm about to show you. 28 at-bats, they only have 4 hits, no extra base hits, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. So the Red Sox really struggled to hit him when they faced him last year. 143 average allowed, 343 OPS. So Gil probably does have the upper hand in the starting pitching matchup here. It's a bad situation for the Yankees, though, but the Yankees took a lot of money to go from plus 100 to minus 138, but it looks like the cash percentage is actually coming back on the Red Sox. 57% of tickets on the Yankees, 72% of the cash coming on the Red Sox. I do believe that the Red Sox would be an anti-public play here. If you want to go with the Red Sox, you have to make it a full game play because you want the bullpen advantage to be in your play there. I probably would be looking maybe first 5 innings. The Yankees probably have the advantage. So maybe do something with that, like a Yankees run line in the first 5 innings might make sense as well. Money's coming in on the under. 79% of tickets on the over, 70% of the cash on the under. Total kind of just sitting at 8.5. I would worry about that. I mean, Yankees bullpen isn't really that great. I could see potentially either start or maybe actually not doing totally great in this game either. Probably more so Giolito. So I would worry about the going under in that game as well. Houston, Baltimore, I'll give it a play after I do St. Louis, Tampa. That Houston-Baltimore game, man, I'm going against the market here, but I think there's a situational angle to play in that game. St. Louis and Tampa Bay here. Tampa Bay, they've lost 3 games in a row now. They're not going anywhere. Neither of these teams are going anywhere. Both bullpens are actually pretty decent, although I would probably say I think St. Louis probably has the better bullpen numbers still, at least. Tampa Bay, by the way, I believe they were playing the Yankees yesterday, right? So, yeah, so Tampa played the Yankees yesterday. So they're coming off a pretty big series, but they're staying at home. St. Louis played Miami. I believe they played yesterday as well. So they're having to travel. So there's no real rest advantage one way or the other, but Tampa does have a travel situation edge. Tampa used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. St. Louis used 3. So St. Louis does have a little bit of a rest edge. Numbers on the season, St. Louis's bullpen's a little bit better, but Tampa's is pretty good. I would say at this point, Tampa probably has the better offense. St. Louis's offense has been really struggling. Starting pitching on the surface looks like St. Louis does have the upper hand in the starting pitching matchup, but looking at the numbers, I'm not quite so sure about that. Sonny Gray for the Cardinals. He's been good throughout his career, but his ERA has gone up, man. He's a guy, he usually has good command, doesn't walk a lot of guys, but he's given up a lot of hard hits, man. He has a 4.3 ERA, 1.19 WHIP. He's been bad on the road, 5.23 ERA on the road, and it might not get better in a very hitter-friendly temporary stadium here for Tampa, where they're playing at Steinbrenner Field. Gray last time out didn't do well against the Yankees, gave up 6 earned runs, still had 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. So again, this is what I've been talking about. He has a 22-4 strikeout walk ratio this month, but he gives up some hits, some runs. Although this month he actually was good against the Dodgers and the Cubs. Then he had a bad start against the Yankees. So he does still have a 3.79 ERA this month, but maybe he's starting to trend in the wrong direction again here. Up against Tampa Bay, he does actually have good numbers, though, in 38 at-bats, 11-1 strikeout walk ratio, 211 batting average allowed, 547 OPS. So it is definitely possible that Gray had a blip against the Yankees, still had good command in that game, at least for the most part. He may do better in this game against Tampa Bay, although it is a stadium where he might struggle. He is going up against Joe Boyle, who I think is the much more difficult pitcher to predict here. Boyle's kind of a converted reliever. He's been decent as a starter. He's got a 4.68 ERA, which isn't good. 1.19 whip isn't that bad. He's been way better at home. I know it's a really small sample size, but I don't know how you can really figure that out because it's a very difficult stadium to pitch in, but a 0.6 ERA at home. He's coming off a couple of really bad starts on the road, but those were in pitcher-friendly parks in Seattle and San Francisco. He was awful in both of those games. Failed to go more than 3 1/3 innings in either of them, which he's failed to do in 4 of his last 5 outings. He's actually only gone 5 innings once, going all the way back into early July. So he's not going deep into these games. This month, 8.71 ERA, 10-9 strikeout walk ratio. I mean, try to figure him out. I don't know how you can, man. Like, he had a good start at home against the Dodgers, shutting them out for 5 innings, and then he did really bad at those 2 pitcher-friendly parks. I don't really get it at all. Boyle, very hard to figure out. I'm not a Boyle understander, man. I don't understand him. I don't think I've given out a play on any of his games, and St. Louis has never seen him before, and he is at home, so he might have a little bit of an edge because St. Louis has never seen him before. So they might have to try to figure him out early on in the game. The money seems to be coming in on Tampa. St. Louis is down from -115 to -113. 70% of tickets, only 63% of the cash. So Tampa as a home underdog, it might make sense. It might be the way to look. And I wouldn't exclude their bullpens probably because their bullpen is still pretty good. 52% of tickets, 64% of the cash on the under as well, flipping the total to 8.5 juice to the under. So money is also coming into the under in that game. I guess do with that information what you will. I could see that being the case with an unfamiliar starting pitcher against a pitcher that has good matchup numbers, decent bullpens as well. So I wouldn't really disagree with an under in that game, but it is a difficult stadium to play an under there. Although the total is not that high, and it is that way for a reason. Let's go to the best bet segment here now, man. Even though I know I gave out that play in WNBA already, in the sandwich spot in the WNBA, this is a situational spot as well, and I'm going against the market, but I'm going to give out Houston plus money here. You actually get the better team in Houston at a plus money price here, even though it looks like the public isn't even really that heavy on Houston, man. This is a very weird market read. This is Houston at Baltimore. Baltimore's flipped from +100 to -115 here. 60% of tickets, 80% of the cash. So the actual money seems to be coming in on Baltimore. I don't really think I agree with it. And the money's coming in on the under, which I could see some arguments for an under here, which I'll show you in a minute. But 51% of tickets, 56% of the cash on the under. Total went all the way from 9 juice to the over to 8.5 juice to the over. So some significant movement on the under. Interesting. But this is more of a situational spot for me, man, even though I know Houston actually played yesterday and Baltimore didn't. So I know Baltimore actually has a rest advantage here, but Baltimore's returning home from a road trip, man. So that might kind of counteract the fact that they did have rest yesterday because they might be using that time. They have to get back to family life. I think Houston is actually going to be extra motivated here because Houston's still playing for something. Baltimore's out of it. And yeah, I know with Houston coming to your house, that might be a series that you'll still get up for, but they just came off a series where they swept the Boston Red Sox. That's a big divisional sweep for Baltimore. They're returning home, could be a distraction, and they just beat Houston 2 out of 3 in Houston and shut them out in the first and third of those games in the 3-game series, only losing one of the games by 1 run. So they actually pretty much dominated Houston in that series, outscoring them 23-5 in the series and shutting them out twice. I think that Baltimore might not totally pay attention here. I think Houston has extra motivation because of that, man. Houston needs to win because they have a slim lead in the AL West right now over Seattle. Houston's lost 4 games in a row. So I think getting out of Detroit after Houston's offense has been horrific recently. I understand. They've only scored 2 runs total in the last 4 games. They've actually only scored 7 total in the last 6 games, which is insane. Houston's offense is terrible right now, but they still have a better offense than Baltimore does. Houston does have a better bullpen than Baltimore does. Houston's the better team, and we're getting them at plus money here because they've been so bad recently. I think getting out of Detroit, I think, is going to be a good thing, and I think the fact that they're playing this Baltimore team that just came into their house and embarrassed them, I think this is going to be a big-time spot where Houston actually steps up here and is really pissed off about that. So even though I know baseball's streaky, I know their offense is cold right now, they're in bad form, but I think the fact that they played yesterday, I actually think might help a little bit because Houston, the fact that they're continuing to play through, I think that's going to kind of just help them continue their momentum here, man. And it's not like a huge travel spot going from Detroit to Baltimore. I mean, it is what it is. I do think Houston actually might have had some more hits than you would think in some of these games in the series. One of the games, the first game, they had to face Schoolball, so it's like, what can you really do about that? And then, they actually didn't have that many hits, my mistake. But still, I like Houston here, man. I don't necessarily love them in the starting pitching matchup. I know this is crazy, but we're going with George Costanza in this game here. Jason Alexander starting for Houston. I know he's a guy that's in his 30s. He's kind of a journeyman type of guy. Hasn't been very good. 4.74 ERA, 1.33 whip. I get it. But this is more about the situation. But he's been better on the road. 4.07 ERA on the road this year. This month, he actually hasn't been that bad. Houston has actually won his last 4 starts in a row, including a start against the Yankees and actually one against Baltimore, where he actually did well against Baltimore. So, yeah, that does mean Baltimore's recently familiar with him. So maybe you have to worry about that a little bit. But Houston is also going to be recently familiar with Brandon Young, who's pitching for Baltimore, as you'll see in a second. They both just faced each other. So that negates that advantage, right? Because the offense might have a little bit of an edge against a pitcher when they saw them very recently, but that is the case with both starting pitchers, so that gets negated. Alexander pitched well against Baltimore, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, no walks. Nice start for him there. He actually gave up no runs in the prior start against the Yankees and no runs the start prior to that against Miami as well. So this month he has a 1 ERA in 3 starts, 15-4 strikeout walk ratio, only 7 hits allowed in 18 innings pitched. He's pitching effectively, man. Go figure. But he did well against Baltimore that first time. I don't really expect him to do horrible here. His numbers are good against them, mostly from that 1 start. 21 at-bats, 2 hits. Did allow those hits were a triple and a home run, both from Dylan Carlson. So literally nobody else on Baltimore's roster has a hit off him. Only Carlson does. 6 strikeouts, no walks, 0.95 average, 429 OPS. So Alexander, I do expect him to continue to pitch all right here. And his pitch count wasn't high in that last game. He was very efficient, actually, with his pitches and only went 76 pitches in that game. So I think he'll be ready to go. And as we'll see, we're going to be fading Brandon Young here, man. I think there were reasons to do this. Young has the worst numbers on the season, 5.68 ERA, 1.49 whip. Now, I know there are a few things that are misleading about this, I know, because Young, he is still somewhat young. He had a delayed start to his major league career because of injuries and whatever. I think his ceiling is a lot higher than what his numbers look like. I think he is a better pitcher generally than Jason Alexander. I do think that, but he's been really bad at home so far this year. 8.1 ERA at home, so the splits line up in favor of our play here. He's been pretty bad this month, except for his last start, which was against Houston. The prior 2 starts, well, he didn't give up any runs against the Cubs, so maybe I shouldn't say he was pretty bad the whole month, but he only went 4 2/3 innings in that game, and then he got rocked by the A's, 6 earned runs in 3 innings, bounced back, and he pitched really well against Houston, and this is what I'm going to talk about. He went 8 innings, giving up no earned runs, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts, no walks. He completely dominated Houston, but the reason why I want to fade Young here, even though he did dominate Houston is at least now familiar with him, but Young took a perfect game into the 9th inning in that game. And I said this with Gavin Williams when Gavin Williams had a no-hitter broken up by allowing a home run with 1 out to go in his outing, whenever that was. I forget what team that was against. I'm going to say the same thing here, man. When you're a young pitcher like this and you have a stellar outing, you have like the best outing of your career, and you're that close to basically making the history books with a potentially perfect game in that game, and then you give up a hit and you get pulled from the game in the ninth inning, I think that hangs you over into the next game, man. And he's a guy that hasn't thrown a lot of pitches in most of his starts either, but they let him go 93 pitches in that one because they let him try for the perfect game in that one. So he's not quite used to throwing that many pitches either. So I think he's going to have a setback in this game, man. I think when you come off of a huge game like that, I think it can hang you over to the next game. So I told you this is a very situational play for me here. It's revenge for Houston. Plus, I think this is a major hangover spot for Young after he just did that against this Houston team. And yes, that obviously does mean his numbers are good against Houston. 28 at bats. They actually have 2 hits lifetime off of him. One of these guys must have not been in the lineup that day. 7-0 strikeout walk ratio, 0.71 average, 179 OPS. I get it. His numbers are good, but I think that he's in a spot where he's going to regress here, man. So Houston is the play for me here. And I think getting the better team at an underdog price like this and the team with something to play for, I think is another thing that's good here. And yes, I know Houston did play yesterday and Baltimore didn't, but Houston didn't really tax their bullpen. Their bullpen's fairly well rested right now, and they have the better of the 2 bullpens. So Houston's bullpen, I think, is fairly ready to go. Most of their better relievers didn't pitch because they were way out of that game yesterday, so they didn't use their better relievers there. So Houston Astros is the play there. And the other play I gave out on the show is the Chicago Sky WNBA plus 15 or 15.5 or whatever in a sandwich spot there. Cunningham is definitely out for the year, and she was intentionally injured by whoever that player is on the Connecticut Sun, who are the worst team in all of the WNBA. It's disgusting. Of course, I think it was race related as well. Costanza, can't stand ya. Biff Loman. Yeah, that's, Biff Loman is, that's the son from Death of a Salesman, right? Did I get that right? Willie Loman's son, Biff. I think I got that right. I don't know what the reference is exactly, though. I almost thought Biff from Back to the Future, but I think that's Biff. What's his last name in Back to the Future? I forget. It's not Loman, though. Loman is Death of a Salesman, if I'm getting all my references right here. All right, we'll do the NFL before I get out of here. It'll be about an hour on the show here. We do have 2 NFL preseason games here. Jerry calls George Biff. Oh, well, yeah, I think Jerry was referencing a Death of a Salesman with that, I think, if I remember correctly. I forgot about that. Tannen, Biff Tannen, yeah, that's right, from Back to the Future, that's right. All right, so we have 2 games tonight in the NFL. Steelers, Panthers. The Steelers have flipped from a 3-point dog to a 5-point favorite, which you would think that means that Aaron Rodgers is going to play in this game, but he's not, although Mike Tomlin has said that all the other Steelers starters are going to play early in this game at least, so it's going to be all their starters besides Aaron Rodgers playing in this game, and Bryce Young is not going to play for the Panthers in this game, so Pittsburgh is playing their starters, so that's why they've moved up on the number like this. Does that mean you want to lay a price like that with the Steelers? I would say no. You should not lay the 5 with them, especially with a total as low as 35 here. You could look to maybe play the Steelers to go over their team total, though, because if most of their offense is in there trying to win the game, that might make sense. Although, again, Rodgers is not going to be in the game. So that means that for the Steelers, you're going to get some mix of their other quarterbacks here. They still have Mason Rudolph, which isn't a bad thing in a game like this because Rudolph has a lot of NFL experience, so that's probably not terrible. They have Will Howard as well, who's a rookie that they drafted, but he's questionable, so I don't know if he's going to get into this game. And they have Skylar Thompson, who also does have NFL experience, so if you do want to go Steelers over their team total, their quarterback mix here actually isn't that bad. They at least have experienced quarterbacks for the most part there. Carolina not going to be playing Bryce Young, so they're going to be playing a mix of basically some guys that I don't think I've ever heard of. Andy Dalton, I think, is hurt, so he's not playing either. So I think it's going to be Jack Plummer and Bryce Perkins, who I barely know who these guys are. Is Jack Plummer Jake Plummer's son? I don't even know. I guess he played at Louisville. I barely know who he is. Bryce Perkins, don't know who he is either. He played at Virginia. I guess he's in his 3rd season. Never heard of these guys. So I do think that, Pittsburgh, I mean, if you want to go over their team total, I think it might make sense because I think they have the better quarterback rotation. I don't think you can lay that much of a price on them, though, even though I think their quarterback rotation in this game is better than the Panthers is. Panthers' defense also is bad, remember. So if you get the Steelers going over their team total, that kind of helps that out as well. And then Patriots-Giants is the other game. The Giants up from 2.5 to 6.5 here, which I think the Jackson Dart hype is real now, man. And I'm hoping I'm proven right because I said that I thought Dart was the best quarterback in the draft class this year before the draft happened. I said that, and I'm hoping that I'm proven right here, man. I think Shedeur Sanders is terrible, but I think I was already proven right by how much his draft stock tanked, man. So, yeah, I mean, I do think Cam Ward will be pretty good, but I think Jackson Dart is where it's at, man. I like him. I like what we see out of him, his physicality. He's maybe too physical and that he's too willing to run all over the place and take a bunch of hits. He's got to kind of try to stop that and get down and get out of bounds and not get himself injured. But he can make the big throws too into tight windows, man. Like, I think Dart's going to be something real. But this line is probably too high on the Giants too. If you want to go Giants over their team total, you could probably have at it because it is going to be Dart. They have a good quarterback rotation, actually. They have him. I think you might see some Jameis Winston, famous Jameis action in this game, too. And you know I like Winston, too. I mean, he just goes out there and slings it. So Winston, I mean, you're going to get, if he's in the game, you're going to get one of two things. He's going to be throwing touchdowns or he's going to be throwing pick sixes. So that probably helps with a general over in this game. You might see this game go over in general. Patriots seem like they're only going to play Drake May for maybe one or two series at the very beginning. He might not even get into the game at all. So you might just see the backups for New England here, which I think is why the line has moved so in favor of the Giants here. I don't know if Russell Wilson will get into the game at all, but the Giants obviously have him too. The Giants, they got some decent quarterbacks there. The Patriots, you're going to see mostly Joshua Dobbs and Ben Woldridge. Woldridge was really good in college, but he's really inexperienced. Josh Dobbs has decent NFL experience. So probably you're going to get mostly Dobbs in this game, and that's probably not really that bad of a thing either for the Patriots. So I actually think an over maybe is worth a look in this game with the way these quarterbacks are looking here. 80% of tickets, 89% of the cash here. I could see Giants over their team total as well. The total's above that key number of 37.5 for preseason, but it's gone up a little bit, juiced the over. I still think it might be worth it in this game, though. You might see this total go over based on what we're going to see out of the quarterback rotations here. So, I mean, we'll see. But I don't know if we're going to get, like, totally intense defense necessarily. Because, again, it's preseason. But preseason, the totals are always way, way low because the offenses tend to go kind of vanilla. They don't want to show anything. They don't want to take massive risks and whatever. But we'll see, man. But the reason why the Giants are favored like that is because of Jackson Dart has looked really good in his 2 preseason games. So the line is a bit high there. I know some of his throws were kind of short throws last time, so a lot of yards after the catch, but he was still running around. He had a rushing touchdown. I think, only threw 2 incompletions in the previous game, which is a pretty good sign, and he was still making some longer throws as well. So we'll see what happens, man. I'll be back with you. I don't know if I'm going to do a college football preview or not because college football is coming up, man. So if I do that, it'll probably have to be tonight because I will be back tomorrow night. I will be live with the Week 0 college football show. Usually I go live around midnight for these football shows. College football Friday nights and Saturday nights I do the NFL. I know we've had a week, where the lines have moved and whatever, but because I tend to fade the public, I tend to do it like closer to when the games are actually going to be played. I know I used to do it midweek. Maybe I should because you lose some value on some of the numbers, but that's just, I don't know. It's kind of the way my schedule sets up anyway. So if I happen to want to make a play earlier, I used to actually bet these until recently. So right now I'm just trying to save my money. Go Niners. You're a Niners fan. I would agree with you this year. I mean, I think the Niners are my pick to win their division this year. I think they're going to have a big bounce back season. I like them to go over their team total. I mean, they were just massively injured last year. I think everybody's overlooking the 49ers this year, man. I think they could definitely do something this year. They could potentially win the NFC again this year, man. I think they're definitely a contender. But anyway, I think they absolutely will be in the playoffs again. But anyway, yeah, so At the very least, I'll do a week 0 college football show because that starts on Saturday with the Dublin game. And I might actually give out a play in that game. I'm considering it strongly right now, which would probably be my only week 0 play. I have a couple of leans in some of the other games as well. But I think that's probably the strongest play that I see on the board right now would be, and I only play sides basically in college football for the most part, so it will be one of the sides in that game, it's the biggest game on the board too, so it's the most exciting game. It's Iowa State against Kansas State, but I may be live tonight, so we'll see if you want me to do college football predictions, but I don't really know as much of the personnel though. Like, you really have to dig into like, what did this team change personnel-wise? And I kind of do that like as the season like starts and goes on. So we'll see. Pearsall could definitely be good, man. I mean, he got shot, so he missed a bunch of time last year. He got stolen from and shot. So you can guess what that person looked like that did that to him. I think he's good. I think you're right. And even though they lost Debo, they still have Ayuk there. Ayuk needs to be healthy, though. I know he's got to stay healthy. But they still got all those other guys. They got Christian McCaffrey. They got Kittle. They still have, I believe, their offensive line is still pretty much intact as well. Trent Williams or whatever. So many of those guys get injured so often. They got to stay healthy, man. But they got coaching. And then the other thing I like about the Niners before I get out of here, which I don't think I mentioned in my NFL preview shows that I did, they brought back Robert Saleh, man. I know he didn't do well as a head coach for the Jets, but he was the defensive coordinator for the Niners, I'm pretty sure, right? When they were really good defensively, and he's back in that role. He's their DC again. So I think that's really going to improve their defense again. And their defense was dealing with injuries last year. I know they lost Greenlaw, but they still have a lot of talent on that defense. Yeah, so I think they're going to be able to overcome that. And I think... yeah, did they lose Bosa too? I forget. One of the Bosas moved to a different team. I forget which Bosa is which now, though. But yeah, Robert Saleh, yeah, that's a huge move there for the 49ers. So I think their defense is going to be good again this year. Not that I don't even think it was really that bad last year. Their team just kind of fell apart with all the injuries, and the season just became a lost season. So I don't think that's going to happen this year. But that's going to do it for me. Learn to Toad on Twitter and on Instagram. Oh, yeah, that's right. I should know that Joey Bosa went to the Bills. I should know that because the Bills are on Hard Knocks, and I've been watching it. But Bosa hasn't really been in it very much. But Hard Knocks has been going on for a few weeks now. It's training camp with the Buffalo Bills this year. I always watch it. It's a well-produced show, although the entertainment value of it, a lot of it depends on like how entertaining the coach is. And Sean McDermott, I wouldn't say he's exactly the most entertaining coach. Like, it's not the most entertaining Hard Knocks, but I mean, I still watch it. It's interesting nonetheless. I mean, you have some weird stuff going on with what some of their players are doing, what some of their players are into. It's kind of hilarious actually, just to see what some of the players like to do, like in their free time and whatever. But yeah, I mean, Hard Knocks, I always watch it. I mean, I find it entertaining anyway, but it is with the Buffalo Bills this year. And one thing that I forgot to mention with the Bills is that their kicker is hurt right now, Bass. So I don't know when he's coming back, but he hasn't been available in preseason. So their short yardage kicker, their like PAT kicker, is one of their running backs. Ray Davis is making kicks for them. And then their long field goal kicker, I think, is actually their punter or something, which is, or maybe it's a like backup kicker that they have whose name is also Davis. I forget what his name is. Caden Davis, maybe. It's a very, very weird situation that Buffalo has with their kicking unit in preseason right now. But the running back kicking their extra points is really, really hilarious, though, which didn't even have to happen in the most recent preseason game because they didn't even score at all. But anyway, yeah, that'll do it. Again, Learn to Toad, Twitter, Learn to Toad, Instagram, where I do short Better Off Dead content there. Better Off Dead, of course, like, subscribe to the channel here. Do all that. I'm on audio as well on Spotify, Apple, whatever. So go give the show a rating over there. Give me a good review, man. And then I have my ukulele project covered in uke on YouTube, so you can get my ukulele content there. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. And I do have some bonus uke stuff there. There's a Spotify feed at one of the levels and requests at one of the levels as well. Yes, sir. Thanks for hanging out, man. Everybody have a good day. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out, man. And I was on Jose's show again last night with, we finished reading Hopper's Democracy, the God That Failed, which we did over a span of probably 3 or 4 years. 25-parter. We finished the book yesterday, which was, I think, the 3rd or 4th time I've actually read the book. But that was fun. We might continue that series and do some more reading. So I might continue to be on Jose's show with live readings, but I don't know when that will be out because I know he puts that out to the Patreons first, but it'll be out at some point. And yesterday was Ron Paul's birthday too, so happy birthday to him. I'm out of here, man. Everybody have a good Thursday and peace.